good afternoon, here it is, sew tangle, sand tangle, whichever way you want to call it, and I'm going to show you how to do the carry-on bag. I just want to say thank you to John, he's the other side of the camera, so if it gets a bit shaky, it's not my fault, it's his. We know what he's like, and last time the internet went down and of course it got a little bit crazy, but hopefully today, fingers crossed, we'll be fine. So this is the bag that I took with me on Sewing Street in the week. It's a great little bag because you can use it this way, you can turn it and have it as a reversible, and you've also got the drawstring bag in it, which if we take the poppers out, 1 second, there we go, one there, you can actually take the whole thing out, see little poppers on the bottom there, okay? So I can't show you everything from start to finish because I've got some bits that are all sort of in different states of play. So what I'm going to do is move this one out of the way and I'm going to sort of take you as best I can through everything. So here we go, the pattern and the instructions. Now the pattern is a full-size pattern, so of course you're going to cut it out so you've got everything that you need. There's not many pattern pieces to it, there's 4 I think, unless I've lost one, I think there's 4. And get them cut out of course, and then instructions take you through how to actually make it from start to finish. So this is going to give you, everything that I'm going to sort of talk you through now, but it means you can sit and look at it. And I like to tick things off as I go. So I'm going to put that to one side. And to help out a little bit, I've actually cut out in some white fabric the how to do the pockets. Reason being is because I showed this on Sewing Street, and because my fabric's pattern matching, you couldn't see it. So I'm really sorry about that. So, okay, what we're going to do, first things first, I want to show you how to do a pocket. And this is all the same whether you're doing one in the outside of the bag or the inside of the bag. What I would do first, I would interface one of the pieces, doesn't matter which, because obviously you want a little bit of strength there. I'm not going to do this on this one because it's just a quick demo for you, okay? So, all right, got my 2 pieces together, so this would case be fabric A, fabric B, it'd be 2 different. And I'm going to sew along the bottom of the piece. Now, if I'm going to do the inside pieces, so therefore not with a handle, I could do top and bottom at the same time. But being that I want to show you how to do the handle, this is what we're going to do, okay? I'm also doing it in a different colour fabric. So we get some fabric thread so you can see where I'm stitching. So if I go a bit wonky, I do apologise, but that's just the way it is. Alright, okay. There we are. So first things first, and that's the bottom of my pocket piece. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take it over to the iron. I'm just going to press that so it's nice and flat. Alright, won't be 2 seconds. I've got my iron on all ready to go. I'm not worried about opening seams or anything. They're all just going to go to one side like we do with quilting. Okay, here we are then. So it's stitch that side and then look, there's the bottom. Okay, so now my handle. Now, handles, I've actually got it so you're going to cut 2 of these. You fold it in half, stitch down the side, and then you've got to turn it out. And this is where people get a little bit stressed because trying to turn a handle out, now this is a bit thinner because again it's only a sample, is an absolute pain in the neck. So what I use is these. These are Prim tools. Here we go, look, P-R-Y-M. And you get them in a pack of about 2 or 3, and you push this into the fabric. Then you use one of the sticks to push it through. It turns it out. It's amazing. Loads of videos on YouTube for how to do that, but I would never do a handle with it. Okay, so here's my pocket. And the first things first is I needed to measure how far in from the edge. So it's 4 1/4. I know that because I wrote the instructions. And hopefully I remembered. So I'm going to do like measure 4 1/4 in. With a friction pen, put a mark. And the same on the other side. Okay, hopefully I'm not going too fast for you. But you can pause me and mute me if you want to. Okay. Mute me. John's laughing at the word mute. So okay, my handle, and again, this is a little bit thin because I've used a piece of scrap fabric. But you notice that the seam is actually running through the middle. So when I look at it the other side, I can't see it. So it's not on the edge, it's in the middle. And I'm going to line this one up with this line, but I'm to the right of it. You see? And come in with a clip it in place. And then I'm going to follow it all the way down This is a bit longer than yours actually. But, okay, just going to trim it off a bit because you won't have that much. So following it, look, all the way down so I can still see the seam. Coming around to this line again. And I'm going to line it up so now it's on the left of the line, you see? Put a clip in it. Wait a second. So see, look, there's my line there, there's my line there. And that's where my handle's going to sit. So a couple of ways of doing this, because you've got clips, because sometimes it might move, so to help me, I'll make sure it's in line, look. And I'm going to put that in there like that. So I've got a nice sort of straight handle there, because you don't want it sort of wandering off at an angle, okay? Now I'm going to put this into the machine, take that one off for a moment, and I'm going to run inside the seam allowance across there, and that means it's going to hold it in place for me, see? Same with this one. So I'm not worried too much about doing back and forward or anything, I just need those stitches to hold it in place for me. And that means then if I take those out, I'm just going to fold that in, I can now bring this up and over. Again, I'm just going to use the clips there to help me hold that in place. Clips are brilliant because you're not going to get caught on them with your pin like you do with your pins, and you're always going to be able to stitch from either side, it doesn't matter, see? Okay, so in we go. So this time I am going to do my back and forth just to get me started there. I come to here, I just want to make sure it's nice and straight there. Let's have a look, I can just see inside the fabric there. I want to make sure it's level. And then go over it. You could always go over a couple of times, see, backwards and then forwards. And that's going to make sure that your handle stays secure. Because of course that's how you don't want to spend all this time making a bag and then find that your handles start causing you problems. It depends what you put in it, doesn't it? Okay, set that up. So we've now got a tube. So this will be exactly the same with every pocket. It doesn't matter whether you've got handles on or not. And just have a little look at this as well. You can see there, look, that's where I stitched my handle inside the seam allowance, and then there's my seam allowance. It's just so this isn't going to poke through there and look a bit messy. So let's turn this out, which John normally does, but he's like on camera duty, so he can't turn it out today. So there's the bottom, which I've already pressed, look. And here is the top area, so you can see that I've got my handle now coming out there. So again, I'm going to nip over to the iron, I'm going to press that seam. So when I'm doing that, just so before you go, I always sort of move it down a bit, like this. And then I'll press it, and then I'll take it to the top. Because if you try and press it like that, you're always going to end up with something that's not quite right on the edge there. And it's just one of those things, you'll look at it and you'll think, I wish I'd done it. So see, I can do it like this, and I can go and press that. Of course, that's going to get rid of my friction pen marks at the same time. Okay, just sort of making sure that that seam is open. Following it along. So then I can fold it up, see? And then that line, I know that that seam is nice and neat on the edge there. In, making sure. Okay, let's have a little look at that. So there you go. Now I know you can see my threads on the inside, that's because I've used black and I've not interfaced. You won't see that. So you see handle look on the back, there's my seam in the middle. So this is going to be my front pocket. So at this point you can bring your front or your back in, it's going to work the same. There it is. And looking at the base here, it's got this little cutout. That's on your pattern, so you don't have to measure that. What I am going to do, just to help me, I'm going to put myself again, friction pen, line across there. So I know I've got a level line. And then what I want to do is I want to go 1/4 of an inch up. I think is it 1/4 or 1/2. Let's have a quick look at the instructions. There we go. So what am I looking at? Okay, bottom. Bag together. Is the bag once? Have I even written it in? Yeah, draw a line. So I'm just drawing across. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's 1/4. Because what I don't want, that's my seam allowance here. I might even go an extra 1. Because you'll see why in a minute, because that's my seam allowance and I don't want my pocket ended up stuck in my seam allowance. So this is where I'm going to place that. Because once that gets stitched, if that was there, you'd end up all that inside that corner. We don't want that. So we need to go a little bit higher. Okay, like that. So I can put my little piece there and there like so. Okay, so that sorts that out. Now I'm going to put some pins in just to kind of hold that in place, because there's a few things we've got to do with this. First one is, of course, we do need to stitch across the bottom because everything's going to fall out otherwise. And we've also want to put some pockets in. I've suggested in the instructions that you sort of stitch down here. It doesn't really matter where, but I've had to sort of tell you somewhere. But you can put them wherever you like. I mean, remember that this is going to fold over a bit. So we could even go down there. See, look, I'm lining my ruler up. We could put one there maybe. Okay, and lining up again, see, and maybe one there, or you could have none, it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to just stitch down there so you can see it. Now it doesn't matter if you stitch across the bottom first or if you stitch across these bits. I'm just going to make sure that's secure there. Come to the bottom. And back up. Same with this one. See, I'm just lining it up. I'm going to put my own needle in there. Along we go. And down we go, following that line. And if you've got a patterned fabric, if it's not quite straight, it won't matter so much. Okay. So that's that one and that one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stitch again inside the seam allowance. I know I haven't cut that as neatly as I would like, but this is just my practice piece, look. More, turn it round, let's move that out of the way, and I'm going to wander all the way down. Don't think you've got to go this quick. Alright, I grew up on a factory floor and from like 16, so piecework was the name of the game. Alright, okay, so that now secures my pocket in place. Okay, let's take my pins out. So the next thing I want to do before I put this together, you see I've got my handle here, it's nice and secure, but I want to go a little bit more. So what I'm going to do, take my ruler again and my friction pen, and I'm going to mark 1 inch. Okay, so let's do it that way. See, 1 inch up, put a mark across. Same on this one, 1 inch, like so. Because what I'm going to do is make sure that I'm securing my handle. So again, I'm going to put some pins in. I'm just going to do one so you can see what I'm doing with it, okay? So I put a pin in, and what I want to do then is I'm going to stitch a square or rectangle along here. So let's do it. So I'm going to go right on the edge, right on that sort of seam almost there. Let's have a look. Okay. That's it, I'm in. So no rush with this. Turn it round. Okay, just watch your fingers with the pins, don't forget. But I want to make sure that it stays square while I'm stitching it in, see? And this way. So making sure it's nice and square. And back around. And along. Okay, I'm just going to go in. Oh, it's more thick one. I'm going to move my tool in a minute. Thank you, John. Okay, so you can see what I've got there then is I've got, and it's not quite neat, but I'm a bit further away from my machine as I usually am. I've got a square, and what that's going to do is hold my handle in place. It's going to give it some extra strength. If you want to, you could always put a cross in as well, but that's probably enough for what I need it to do. Okay, so that's sort of where I ended up at on Sewing Street the other day. So let's move that out of the way and let's look at my actual pieces. So here it is. This is why I said you might not see it, because I've pattern matched all the pieces, and on the inside I've got the other fabric, which is my tangly leaves. You see that? Okay, you don't have to use that, you can use a plain if you want, but it's quite nice, I think, to have the whole thing matching. And if I look at my handle, you see, look, there's the seam on the inside, and you can see, just if you look real close, I've not got rid of my friction pen yet. I've got a square going all the way around it. So that's the sort of state we're at. Now looking at my other side, here it is. Got the same thing going on here, so same pocket. I've pattern matched it. I've got my handle going. Yeah, still got, look, my friction pen lines there. I can remove them now, which, yeah, I'm gonna go and do that. Don't have to, you can do it later. But being that I can see them now, let's get rid of them. So it's just a case of, you know, going in with your iron, just moving those. Okay. Please feel free as well, if you've got any questions as I'm going, I'm more than happy to answer them. But
thanks.
I'm covering everything. That means that John's got to relay them to me, of course. Okay. So here's my two pieces. Now, if I was doing the inside of the bag, the next steps would be exactly the same, and pretty similar with the drawstring as well, although I'm just going to explain that to you in a little bit more detail in a short while. Okay, so clips. Here we go. Let's line those up. Don't need to clip too many things, as long as I know where I'm going with it, okay? Now, you might be looking at this thinking, well, what's this on the back? This is Decaville, and what it does, it takes your fabric from being, here we go, quite kind of floppy to having some structure to it. Yeah, it's iron on, so it's pretty well stuck now. Of course, I've stitched my pockets on it, so it's not going anywhere. You could use Bosal, you could use wadding, it depends what you want, but I quite like a structured bag, so I find that this works really well for me. So here we go then. Now, I think what I am going to do, shan't I? I don't think it really matters for this, because although I have done white stitching, I think what I'll do, I'll stick with this because it's all on the inside anyway. Okay. So I can use black, it's fine. So securing the top there, making sure I'm lined up. Then you are going to feel a little bit of weight there. That's okay. You can go do a back stitch if you want, but you don't have to. So I'm going to go straight down, and then I'm going to go back stitch across there. Okay. Same with the bottom edge. See, with the Decaville as well, it tends to keep it very structured, so it's quite nice to sort of work with as well. Let's make sure that's level. You know, sometimes it's not always because of how you cut it. Let's get that going along there. Okay, and then into this one. And it doesn't matter starting top or bottom, it's fine. I'm just going to go all the way around it. See, I can feel that weight there because I'm going through quite a few thicknesses now. There we go. Once you know. So that's sorted that out. Okay, all done. So that gives me my 3 sides done and stitched. Let's just get rid of that thread. There, don't want that. Okay. So next it comes to our sort of sections, our boxes at the bottom here. So what I've done, automatically, see if I move my fingers inside, see it's starting to look 3-dimensional. So what I have to do is bring it together like so. You see, one seam's going to go one way and one's going to go the other, like we do in quilting. See that? And I'm going to put myself a couple, just one maybe, in there. Okay, so I've got that all lined up. So over to the machine. Don't worry about everything else. You're just interested in getting this bit going across there. So I'm going to put my machine foot down, needle in. Take that away now because I've got hold of it. So again, because it's a corner, I'm going to make sure it's secure there. Take your time and across there. Okay, so that gives me that. So I'm going to do the same on the other side. Notice the way I've got my seam going. So this one is going to go that way as well. So look, fold it in so it's middles together. That seam's going the same way, see? Going along, so that's facing that way. So again, if I put the clip in, it's going to hold it in place for me. Doesn't matter which way around you sew it, honestly. As long as you've got it in place there. Let's put that in so I know I've got it. Take that off. Okay. So that does the bottoms like that. So if I turn that around now, which is a little trickier because I've still got a little bit of issue with that finger. And of course this is John's job. But he's on the camera. He's laughing at me, watching me struggle. But you see, actually using that Decaville, it's not too bad, is it? You can actually, you know, manipulate it round a little bit. So let's have a look at those little boxes. Here we go. So I'm just going to push them out with my fingers, look, see? There it is. And there's the side seam. And this way. Along there. Oh, there we go. And there. So you see that box comes out quite nice, quite neat. And it's already giving it some shape, you see? There it is, just needs a bit of a press, but that gives me my main bag piece. So let me come to the lining. Okay, now the lining's already made up, and reason this is done this way is because I didn't have time on Sewing Street to show you everything, but let me talk you through it. Pockets, I've done exactly the same as before. You see on the inside, look, I've got the gems, so it all matches. Now, if I'm turning it the other way round, here we go, there's two differences with this. You see, look, I've still got those square boxes. But what I have done is I've left quite a bit on the bottom because I want to hand stitch that so I could turn it out in a short while. Now, the reason I've left so much is because I needed to get my hands in to be able to put these poppers on. So I actually had got this bit open and this bit and just a bit sewn so I could put my popper in. So I'm going to show you how to do the other bit on the drawstring bag in a short while. But you can see there, look, I've actually measured in. You see where my marking is 1 inch from the edge, you see there? And that's where my popper's gone in the seam. So looking at it this side, you can see, look where it's sat in the seam there. And I've actually got the piece that's going to press there because that's what's going to sort of, inside that's where my drawstring bag is going to sit inside that. So that's what's going to happen there. So I've still pressed open or pressed the edge because I always find it easier to stitch that by hand later once you've pressed it. Just makes life so much easier. Okay, so that's that bit. So what we've got to do now is we've got to stitch this bit to that bit. And how do we do that? Pretty straightforward, if I'm honest, is let's just put the handles just so we can. Let's just stick them in the pockets for now, you see, just get them out of the way. Just makes life a little bit easier for you. Okay, so right sides together, and it doesn't matter because I've got pockets on both sides, so it doesn't matter which is front or back, and in it goes. So we've got the right sides together. Okay, so just put it in so that those square sort of sections almost kind of match, you see, in it goes. And the first thing we've got to do is match up the side seams, okay? That's where the important thing is. So here we go. And again, look, what I'm doing is I'm turning it so I've got one seam going one way and one seam going the other way. It just sort of reduces the bulk there. Okay, so let's put a clip on there. And I'm going to go to the other side and I'm going to do the same thing. Just want to get that in a little bit more. Okay, so look, one's going one way, one's going the other way. Let's clip that one. So let's look at the rest of it. Let's make sure those handles are out of the way. What you want to have is an assurity that you've actually stitched them the same distance from the seam allowance. You see, and I have, that's fine. So I'm going to put a clip in the middle there. Yeah, and the same here. I will move those handles out of the way as I get there, just make sure that they're covered. But what we're doing here, we're just checking that it's going to be fine. Okay, and it is. We're okay. I'm just going to get another clip. I thought I'd got enough there. It's always nice to have that extra one, isn't it? Just to keep it in place for you. Let's have a look. Let's put one in there, look. Make sure the rest's fine. And it is. Okay. Now it doesn't matter which way you stitch, it's however it's comfortable for you, if I'm honest. You could as well, if you wanted, remove the part of your machine, because that will help get it into place. So it's always whatever works for you. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Now remembering I've got some Decaville on there, so it is going to be a little bit stiffer as I'm sewing, so I've got to keep hold of it with both hands. So let's give it a bit of a starting point. Okay, something to work to. And notice I've not started on the seams, I've started in the middle of the bag. So here we go, a little bit at a time, making sure I'm lined up. Round we go. Okay, so you get to a certain point, you think, oh, that's a little bit awkward now. How's this working? You see it's starting to move. That's because I've got Decaville in it. And inevitably, you're going to find that this seam isn't going to be as straight as you want it to be. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. And I think it's nice that you see that, because you get it home and you think, oh, I've not stitched that very well. It's just because the Decaville's fighting against the actual sewing I'm doing. Okay, see, so again, look, let's take that bit off. I'm going to move it along a little bit to make sure. Straighten it. Make sure it's, that's it, level. Okay. I'd always think it's worth stopping and checking, because otherwise you only have to end up unpicking it afterwards. Okay. Next little bit, see? To go on there. So I'm just helping it. I'm not pulling it back, I'm just sort of trying to keep it straight if I can. Over the seam. Kind of back round the other side. So again, just making sure that they're joined. A little bit. Now I can feel my handle there, just want to make sure it's out of the way. There we go. One to there, one to there. You see it's started to pull there, I don't like that, so I'm going to take it out. It's because that handle's in there, see it's started to move a little bit. Just going to take that bit off. There we are. No, never worry about it, never think, oh my goodness, it's going to go completely wrong. Stop and start, it's fine. Doesn't work. There you go. It's a bit argumentative today, isn't it? Okay. Alright, last little bit. Okay, let's have a little look at that. So, let me see. So see how it's a little bit rocky there, but that's okay, as long as I'm not on my handle. Coming around, it's not doing too bad at all. Look, a little bit of a bump there, but it's inevitable. So what you could do, and what I'm going to do on this little piece here, is I'm going to put it back in. Now I've got no clips or anything like that, and I'm going to go back over it. You see, just to make sure that it's kind of nice and neat. Ooh. Okay, so next bit then is I've got to get this through there. And John's laughing at me because he hasn't got to do it. And here we go. Let's start with that. You see I'm starting to sort of just unravel it as I'm going. I don't try and get it all through at once because it just doesn't happen. There you go. Not too bad at all, that, look. There you are. So I've put my little square bits back in there, square bits back in there. Yeah, So what I do then, and I'm not going to sort of, shall I do this? Yeah, I will. I'll go and do this. I'm going to press, you see here, all the way around. So where the two fabrics meet, I'm going to pull it down, like you see, because you don't want it sort of doing that and ended up with a piece like that. You want to pull it down so it's completely flat and give it a press. Here we go. So my handles are still out of the way. That's a good thing. I can still work with that. Because I've got a little iron, it means I can get in a little bit closer as well. Let's turn it round. Same sort of thing. You just want to make sure that the seams are pulled. There we go. Okay. Happy with that? Let's have a look. You see? It's nice and crisp there now. So what I'm going to do now is put this inside there. Let's have a look. Going to sit in there. Now I know I haven't stitched it yet. It's always worth doing this and pressing it and getting it all sorted before you do that. Stitching it is the last thing. Do that while you're a glass of Prosecco later and watching TV. Okay, so look, I'm just kind of sort of finger pressing it round just to give me a bit of a shape. Pressing it in there. There we go. Because it's kind of been pressed all the way along, that little bit easier to do than you'd think. See, look, just sort of push it in place. See? Okay. So the case, all I would be doing there is I'd go back to my iron and I'd make sure that that is there and it's all nice and neatly pressed. Okay, I'm not going to do that now because it'll take I don't know, a good 10 minutes maybe. Once I've done that, if I come back to my points here at the bottom, you can press them together, see? And it'll give you a line across there. So then I'd go back to the iron and I'd press that line. So I've got a nice square piece. Same on this bit. And the same here. Look, I did a B because I actually made sure our pattern matched. So I call this B, and the other side A, so I can iron that off in a bit. So I'd do the same there, look, to give me that square, that shape. And the same there. Let me just bring my other one in and I'll show you what I mean. Here it is, look, you see how square that is because it's been pressed. And remember me saying about your pockets being a little bit higher than the seam allowance, you see, sort of, it's just on the edge there. So if you wanted them a bit higher, you could do them a bit higher, so don't go any lower than 1/4 of an inch. And then here, you can see where, just needs a bit more, it's been in my bag. I've pressed and it's given me, look, that kind of square shape, and that's what we want with this one. So that's what I need to do with that, and then that basically, that bag's done. If we just have a look on the inside there, so you can see that that's the piece I've got to stitch, but look at my popper. See, there's a popper in that bottom corner there, ready to go, see? And it's the same, hang on a second. You see it there, look, once it's all neat, that's the other popper. So let's have a look at the drawstring bag. I'm going to move that out of the way for a moment. Alright, so let's sort of put my machine back together. Right, your drawstring bag. So you'd start with exactly the same shape that you had with the other bag. The only difference being is it's a little bit taller. You're going to do exactly the same thing with the same box pleat at the bottom, and you're going to leave a gap for turning, exactly the same as before. So the outside one has already been done. The inside one is what I'm working on. The other thing to notice is on the pattern, it suggests that you should leave a gap at the top. So it gives you a mark and a mark. And looking at this closely, if I just open it, you see there, look, it's got a gap in it. Okay, so what I've done, I've left that gap. I've made sure it's been back stitched here, and then I've opened my seam and I've stitched around it. So I've got a nice secure kind of gap. Okay, same on the other side. And I've done the same on this one. So here, look where it's been pressed. I've got this one here, look. And I've got the same there. Okay, so once I've done that, boxed it out as I did before, let's put this inside this. Okay, and the same thing as before. Okay, so what I've got to do is got to find my seam, find my bit there. Now again, look, it's always worth noting as I've done that, you see, look, that's where my two little gaps are going to meet. So there you go, clip there. on the seams, find the other corner, or the other side seam rather. All right, another clip, in we go. And the rest of it looks pretty straightforward. So I'm going to put one in there just because it's, you know, as it moves. I mean, there's no interfacing on this at all, but with it being a drawstring, does it really need it? Maybe not. You can do it if you like. So I've got my clips in place, okay? Now because there's no Decaville, nothing like that on this, I'm going to come in straight away. I'm not taking the bottom of my machine off, anything like that. And I could stitch around it. As long as those seams are in place there. I'm going to go round. Now it is important that we keep the same all the way around here, because we've got to put this casing in a short while. So I'll just keep turning it as you go, taking those clips out. Now there's loads of ways of doing a drawstring bag, so if you've got a different way and you want to do it like that, that's absolutely fine. I've just written instructions according to what I do, but it can be any way, okay? You see there, I've gone over my stitching, so I know I've secured it. So the next thing is to turn it through again. And John's laughing again. Get him back.
Yep.
Okay, let's have a look at this then. So there we go, just making sure it's all out. Everything's okay there. There's my little, let's just open my box pleats there. Not pleats, but my little box corners. So I've got it nice and neat. And same there. You see? Okay. So that's my side. So you see that that's where I'm going to have to hand stitch it. I do hand stitch them. I do think it looks better. If you've spent all the time making a bag, you don't want to look inside and see machine stitching there. So that's that done. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is, again, I'm going to go and iron or do a bit of a press all around that edge there. So where they both join together. It's important that you get this one as best as you can. So along we go. Along there to the back. Just give it a bit of a pull as I'm going. Just want to make sure that they're both the same. Okay. So as we did before, I'm going to put the inside. Now you can have it either way, I suppose, but I'm going to go with this being on the inside. And in we go. Let's give it a bit of shape. There we go. Because we've taken the time, you know, when we've got those box corners sorted, it's not too bad there. So what I'm going to do now is make sure that all the way around I've got that seam on the top, because you see, look where I've got that gap? That's what I'm kind of looking for. So I'm going to go and do that because I want you to see how I do the cord. So again, I'm bringing it in. Because I've pressed that already, it's not going to be too difficult. You just got to make sure that you have a look at it by eye and put those bits in there. Okay, same in there. See, just sort of working it round, making sure that those top seams are together there. That's it. Follow it round. It's pretty straightforward, isn't it? I think when you think it's all the pattern pieces, they're all the same things. So your three bags are the same essentially. It's just these extra little bits that make the difference. Okay, there you go. So that bit's ironed as well. So let's have a look at this. So we've got a nice edge. I don't mind if it's sticking out a little bit. I don't really worry about that so much. But you see both sides? And again, looking, we've got this little bit here. So you can actually see through both of them. Now on the instructions, John and I did swap it so that this was a little bit lower down for you. And this is the original pattern. So mine's right almost on the edge. And that's absolutely fine. Don't mind that, because what I'm going to do now, I'll take this back off. I'm going to stitch around. Now because my top stitching on my other bag is white, I'm going to do the same here. So I'm going to take my black thread out and put my white in. So just give me a moment to you've got to do it. So you're not so close. Okay, here we go. That's it. I've done that before, haven't I? There we go. So what I'm going to do with this one now is I'm going to do it real close to the edge. Let's have a look at where that's sort of coming. So I'm going to sort of go, I'm looking for something on my machine that I can use as a guide. So you see where I've got this clear piece on my foot there? I know that the edge of my material, as long as it's level with that, it's going to be even all around. Can you see that, John? Let's put a bit of that round. So again, take your time with this. I'm following all the way through. I'm making sure I'm not looking at my needle, I'm actually looking at where the material is going into that foot, and that means that hopefully it's going to be nice and straight all the way around. Hopefully. Straight along there, I suppose. Just kind of feeding it through. Last little bit. So I'm going to go over a touch. Not doing a back stitch because I've gone over the stitches, doesn't matter. Let's have a little look at that. Let's just get rid of those little threads there. See, I'll see them on the back. Okay, so you see, look, I've got my little gap. There it is, both sides. Both sides. Same on that one. I can just do a check now, making sure that's fine. Oh, good. I've got a thread there. So what we've got to do now, we've got to have a channel for the cord to go through. So looking at this, I've left 1 inch. So what I want to do is I want to sort of have it on that line there, if I can. So I'm going to again put it in the machine and I'm going to have a look at my sort of guides to see where that would be. Let's have a look. So you see, look, it's looking as though it's sort of on my number 3 there. You see where I've got that line? I mean, I could always, if I wanted to, I could always move my needle further out, because at the moment it's on what I would call sort of the middle, but you see, I could move it further out that way, but I don't need to, it's fine there, and that covers either edge. So what I've got to do now, again, I'm not going to look at the needle particularly, I'm looking at this level here, because what I want to do is try and keep it level all the way around. You see, I'm watching that line. You can if you want to, if you think, well, I'll never see it. I've got this like washi tape, and it's real sort of, it's only a little bit of paper really, look, it tears ever so easy. What you could do is you could line it up like so, pretty much there, you see? And then I know, as long as I don't go beyond that, I'm okay, see? But it's entirely up to you. See, it comes off ever so easy afterwards, not a problem. But I'm okay with seeing that line. So I'm going to feed it through and I'm going to watch that guideline. I can do a bit of a check as I come to this one here. Yeah, that's okay. Keep it going. And again, I'm watching this line, I'm not watching the needle, I don't need to. Thread there hanging, that's okay, I'll do that in a minute. And on we go. Okay, almost there. Just swallowing it through. And I'm just going to go over a few. Let's just get rid of those threads. So just get rid of your threads as you go in, it just makes life easier. Okay. Hanging around. Okay. Oh, there was that. What's that one for? Don't know. So now what I've actually got, look, is I've got 2 rows of running stitch. See? One quite close to the edge and one here. And then at the sides, I've got these little gaps. And this is where you're going to bring your cord in. Now, cord. I brought mine from Amazon because I like to, I'm going to make a few, I'm sure. And this wasn't that expensive. I don't know, about 10, 12 pounds, something like that. It's 5mm macrame cord, but you get all different colours. And I did refer to it on sewing string. And I said, look, if you just cut it, this is what's going to happen. You're going to end up with this, which is lovely, but when you're trying to put it through something, not so lovely. So you can see what I do, again, taking my little bit of tape here. If I was going to cut some off, what I would do is I'd wrap some round. There we go, just do it towards the edge there. Wrap some around. Keep it tight, twist it as you're going, you see, like this. Because you can, go over it, make sure it's nice and secure, see? There you go, like so. Let's just make sure it's all round, so keeping it tight, yeah. And then I would actually go and cut through the middle. Because then one edge, you see the edge of my thread, it's not going to come loose, it's not going to unravel. And the other edge, which, here we go, it's in my bodkin, look. Let me just take that out so you see what I'm doing with that. You see, it's nice and secure, so I can hopefully get it through the casing easily. So usually, or in the past, I would have used a safety pin and pushed it through, but sometimes they come undone. So I'm going to give the bodkin a go. This is quite nice. What you do, you're going to just put it in there, like so, and you're going to pull that down. And what's going to happen, here we go, is it's going to hold it in place, like so. Okay, so much easier than a safety pin. And what I've done, I've not cut off both my threads. I've actually left it sort of open, so this is my two threads, but see, I put myself a piece of tape again in about the middle, so I find that if I have cut it and it's too short, I can extend it and I've not wasted any. So here we go. This is the be all and end all of making the drawstring, and this is where now, if you've top stitched these, it makes life easier. So I'm going to push it into there, okay, and follow it around. Just be gentle with it. Just follow it through. See, so I'm sort of gathering and then pulling. A little bit of a gather, pull. Okay. And then I'm going to come to this corner. See what I'm doing? Look, I'm going to go straight through. Okay. But I can see it there, so I'm happy with that. And because I've got no extra seams, because I've stitched them in place, it makes life easier. Okay, all the way around. So I'm trying to keep it flat. I'm not sort of gathering it. I'm just trying to keep it going if I can. Still got all this look hanging out there. And then I'm back to where I started. So again, nice and gentle. Pull it out. Okay. So let's have a look at that compared to where my extra pieces. See, that's the middle. So let's sort of bring those two pieces together. Pull it in a second. So you see, that's all nice and flat. And what I've got those two pieces look there together, see? So if I take that off, okay? So what I'm going to do, look, I'm going to now cut that in the middle, and that's my first one done. Alright, so now I'm going to take the next end, the one I've just cut, and I'm going to push it into my little tool here, push that down, you see it's nice and secure in there. Okay, there's my extra bit. Now you see this is a bit fluffy on the end, so I'm going to leave that, doesn't matter. And then let's have a look. So this first one, I started this side. So this one, I'm going to start at this side. So here we go. So just as before, now that one, let's give myself a chance. That's sort of, I've put it down to the bottom edge. Just moved it down, you see? You can just see it there, look. So this one I'm going to take in to the top edge there. It's just, here we go. So I'm going to, it's attached to me. I'm going to repeat the process, like, in it goes. Oh, I didn't do the poppers, did I? I'll do the poppers in a minute. Okay. So again, like you can just see it, see, sneaking through. but because my seams are all stitched down, doesn't half make life easier. I know at the time you're like, why did we bother with this? But honestly, it's worth taking that extra time and effort. Okay, so that's the two that come that way, through there. Almost. Again, look, I'm just making sure each time that it's nice and flat. Just being gentle with it, you know, you go a little bit too heavy and sometimes you can pull it out. Here we go, look. It's got a bit too far, but let's bring it back. Where is it? There you are. Okay. There it is. Let's take it out of there. Brilliant little tool that. And again, I want to line up my two little pieces. Pull it so they're level, you see? Hang on a second. So it's level. Okay? So what I could do now is, if I get hold of those two, because I know they're level, put a knot in it. Oh, frightened me to death.
And me.
Okay, please don't lean on my sewing machine. Okay, there's one. Other side. Again, making sure they're level, look. Bring it round, put a knot in it. Okay, don't pull it too tight at the minute because you want to check it works. Yeah, and if it's too much hanging off, you could always make them a little bit smaller if you want to. There you go. So let's have a little look at the inside bits. Okay, how do we do these poppers? Alright. So, there's my bottom on my bag. There's my box bits. Okay, so if you remember we said it was an inch in, so is there any point, can we see that if I put that as a mark? An inch in, there you go, so just see it there, see? And if I do the same on the other side, there you go, from the seam, look, I've got an inch in, that's it. There and there, you see? Okay, so I've got my little popper tool, and what you've got to make sure that you do is, of course, is you've got your sort of male and female, or your positive, negative, whatever you want to call it. So I've got my little pieces here ready. I always make sure that I've got all the pieces. That's what I need there. So okay, there's the two. It's going to hold it in place, and there's the piece where the other popper is going to sit into. Now I don't need to actually punch a hole through because it's going through the seam anyway. And if you think about it, this bit is, let's have a look, let's get this right now. I'll put that on the right one. Yeah, that's the outside. Oh, so it's got to go on there. Oh, that's okay. All right, it's a good job I did. It's a good job I thought this through, isn't it? It's got to go on here. So let's have a look at this. Can I actually get into a couple of my stitches there and just do a bit of an unpick? Because that's the inside, isn't it? I obviously was going to do it the other way around and I've changed my mind. That's okay though, because I can stitch this back in place after it. I just need to get my tool in there. All right, okay. I'm going to do a few stitches there. And same this side. So remember, I've got to think about doing, yeah, an inch away. So that's the beauty. You go, you know, you make a bit of an error on it. You can always unpick it. It doesn't matter.
You got 6 minutes. An hour.
Okay. So let's do that again. Look, let's find my inch right on that edge there. There's my inch. And let's do the same on this one. There's my inch. Just there. Just means I've got to unstitch those bits as well, but that's okay. So here we go. This is the bit that's going to attach to the bottom of my bag. So this is the bit that I've got to have that sitting there, like so. Make sense? Okay with that? So this, I'm going to push through that little hole there, get my tool in the outlet, and I'm going to push that in place there. Let's bring that up. And it's going to sit there. Okay. See, that's coming through there. So there's that one. Okay. So this piece then I'm going to push that on top there, like that. And then I can just get my tool in there. There we go. And hold that and press that in place. Like so. If I do the same on the other side, I'm going to just push that inside there. Like so. It's right on the edge of that seam there, but that's okay. Because I'm going to hand stitch it in after, it's fine. Okay, there you go. This piece is going to come over the top there. Again, if I force that, oh no, I want to keep that in there. This is when you need like 4 hands, isn't it? Okay, here we go. Line that up. Press that down. Yeah, so all I've got to do is stitch that bit and that bit in place, but there it is. So if I put that inside there like so, bringing my bag back in, remembering I've not pressed this bag yet. So if I take that popper with that popper, the one on the inside, let's just hear it. And then if I take that popper with that popper just on the inside there, here we go. There you go. So then if we fasten that, alright, handles out. Once that's pressed, and that's pressed, see that looks a little bit long to me, so I might shorten those a bit, but until you've fastened it, don't cut any bits off. Yeah, it looks a little bit long, but there's your bag done and sorted. All I've got to do now, a little bit of hand stitching just to fasten those seams. So fabric with this, I've used the pink gems, and it's a smaller version of my tangly leaves, the black. And on the other one, that's lovely, isn't it, that? Don't know which I like best actually, not quite sure. So this one has used our bright tiles, and on the inside it's used a green diamond design. Now what I have done, if you like these and you think you want to do the same fabrics as myself, I've put these together for you as a bundle on the website, and I've put them at a reduced price, so it's going to give you a little bit, I think it's about £8 off the actual price of a ½ metre, because of course you're going to need 2 metres, so 1 metre of each fabric differently. So if you want it, it's on there. It's going to be there for a limited time, probably about a week or so. So if that's what you want to do. So all I've got to do is press these, finish that little bit of hand stitching off, and there you go. I've got a choice of 2 bags. But if I want to, I can take the drawstring bag out, and if I want to do that, I can actually turn it round, so I've got the leaves on the outside and this on the inside, and same with this one. So there you go. There's all you need to carry bag, all done and sorted. So I hope it's been useful for you. If you have got the pattern coming, hopefully you'll refer back to this and you'll see what I've done and make it and get to use it. So I'm just going to carry my keys, my phone and my purse in there, and it just means I don't have to carry everything else. Of course, a few pens probably in there as well. So okay, hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll catch you at some point in the week for another video at some point. So in the meantime then, take care and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye.